They found me curled up in the server room, asleep on a beanbag chair I brought from home, hoodie half-zipped, fingers still resting on my laptop keyboard. That's where I was when the new COO walked in with her clipboard and clicky heels, looking for the ghost who built the system. Apparently, no one had seen me in person for weeks. But the systems were humming. Emails were being answered, payroll processed, vendors paid, reports filed, contracts reviewed, customer issues resolved like clockwork. Because I was the clock, I didn't look like a savior. I looked like a burnt-out, caffeinated woman in compression socks and broken trust. That was 5 weeks ago. This morning, I got fired. No warning, no thank you, no handshake. Just a bland Zoom call with Ethan, the kind of middle manager whose favorite phrase is circle back. He smiled like a kid who just got away with cheating on a test. "We're letting you go," he said. "You've built a system so good, we barely need humans anymore. Congrats, really." "But you know budget," I nodded calmly. What I didn't say was, the system only runs because I let it. I didn't tell them I built the whole thing around a silent heartbeat, a line of code I named Bluebird. If the system ever detected my user account, deactivated, the wings folded. Everything stopped. I didn't say a word. Hey, if this story hits home, or even if you're just here for the drama, tap small subscribe button and help us hit our first 10K subscribers. It means a lot to us. Not when HR emailed a generic exit checklist. Not when my Slack account got suspended. Not when the IT guy, who once called me a wizard behind the curtain, disabled my credentials. They thought I was gone, but the heartbeat was still ticking. And I wasn't done with them yet. Had given 5 years to that place. 5 years of being ignored in meetings, of being told to smile more, of watching less competent men get promoted to manage the systems I designed. I automated 90% of my department not because I wanted to disappear, because I wanted to breathe. And now I was going to show them exactly what happened when you fired the architect and kept the house. The real fun started 6 hours later. CEO was midway through a quarterly earnings call when the customer ticketing system locked every user out. The HR bot started responding to vacation requests with ROT in hell. Finance couldn't access payroll. Legal lost version control on contract archives. Someone tried rebooting the core database manually, except I'd programmed a decoy interface. Every button just played elevator music. By 4:30 p.m., I had 3 missed calls from Ethan. By 5:00 p.m., he left a voicemail. "We may have underestimated your role. Please call me back. We'd like to discuss options." Options, let me think. Option A, I burn it all down. Option B, I burn it all down while watching reruns of Succession, drinking wine from a mug that says "I told you so." I hadn't decided yet, but I was smiling for the first time in weeks. The first domino didn't fall. It exploded. By midnight, I was sipping cheap Pinot from a chipped mug while watching the internal Slack logs unravel like a horror novel. Some poor soul in customer experience tried rebooting the scripts manually by copying a folder labeled Automation Master Final, really final zip into a live environment. Cute. Except that zip file triggered a fake recovery mode I left behind on purpose. Suddenly, their entire internal wiki started redirecting to a Rick Astley video. Every single page. People were panicking, and Ethan was live editing a Google Doc titled Postmortem Draft V1, typing things like unexpected system outage and possible third-party failure. No, Ethan, not a third party, just the woman you discarded like an empty K-cup. Let's rewind. 6 months ago, I had asked for a raise. I brought data. Charts, kind of boring, undeniable evidence that made it clear. I saved them $2.3 million annually in labor alone. Ethan looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're already well compensated for your role." Then he added, "Besides, the real value here is teamwork, not code." I swear my eye twitched, because I had built that team's backbone while listening to half of them debate where to order lunch. But fine, I didn't get mad. I got surgical. I began adding failsafes, red herrings, and decoys to the core architecture. Obfuscated logic. Conditional triggers. Hell, I even renamed one dependency lunch order script.js just to make sure no one would dare touch it. And every single process, ticket escalation, invoice generation, even inventory syncing, ran through something called Bluebird. They never even asked what Bluebird did. So when they disabled my account, Bluebird detected the heartbeat loss and began its quiet rebellion. At first, minor malfunctions, random field data reversals, Missing timestamps. The office printer starting up at 3:17 a.m. and printing the words, "Where's Maria?" in Comic Sans. Then real failure. Accounts payable flagged every vendor as fraudulent. CRM systems started auto-emailing clients invoices for $0 and 1 cent labeled emotional damages. And still, no one called me until Ethan tried. Again, 3 missed calls. Then he sent a text. "Hey, we realize now there may have been deeper system dependencies we weren't fully aware of. Any chance you'd consider a brief consult? Paid, of course." I stared at it, then turned off notifications. Because revenge, when done right, should simmer. And I hadn't even opened the Pandora folder yet. That was going to be personal. Because some people burn bridges. I preferred to detonate them. With a nice little playlist and popcorn. The next morning, I woke to a LinkedIn message from the head of IT. "Maria, if there's any way we could get your insight on what's happening, we'd be incredibly grateful." Grateful. From the guy who once said I overcomplicated things when I introduced version control. From the man who installed Chrome extensions by Googling faster computer free. Nope. Let it sit unread while I microwaved leftover dumplings and queued up my favorite soundtrack, classical renditions of villain origin themes. By 9 a.m., the help desk queues were reporting 4,367 unresolved tickets. The internal scheduler had gone full anarchy and double-booked the CEO's calendar with 30-minute meetings titled, "How to Apologize to the Person You Fired," scheduled hourly. For the next 2 weeks, 9:42, the company's payroll processor crashed. Just dead. No checks, no deposits. Just a blank screen and a single error. Bluebird has gone silent. That's when I knew someone finally noticed. See, Bluebird wasn't just the kill switch. It was the silent narrator of my revenge novel. I had written it to record every time someone took credit for my work, ignored a ticket I marked urgent, skipped over me in a meeting, made me explain the same thing 4 times to men who nodded like bobbleheads. It was petty, but also precise, and now Bluebird had stitched all that history into an interactive dashboard. Every stakeholder, every insult, every cover-up, every budget lie, all tagged, all timestamped, all accessible only with my password. By noon, Ethan sent another text. "This is getting out of hand. We're losing contracts. You've made your point. Can we talk?" I screenshotted it, saved it, didn't respond. Because here's what Ethan didn't know. I hadn't even touched the external client systems yet. Yet, I gave them another hour. At exactly 1 p.m., their biggest client, a tech logistics giant, called the CEO directly. Because the API sync I wrote that saved them 400 man-hours per month was down. And the CEO, she panicked. She finally reached out to me. Not via text, not via email. She showed up, outside my apartment, holding a gift basket filled with lavender bath bombs and a bottle of barefoot wine. I watched from the peephole for 3 full minutes before I opened the door. She looked like someone who had finally Googled what does Maria actually do here and regretted everything. She opened her mouth, and I said flatly, "Did you bring my severance? Or just the Dollar Tree sympathy?" She blinked. Twice. Then whispered, "Didn't understand what you built." "Oh, sweetheart, no, you understood. You just didn't respect it. Now you're standing in front of the only person who can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And I'm not sure I want to, because I hadn't even released Phase 2 yet. And Phase 2, that was the fun part. I didn't invite her in. She stood there like a guilty dog who peed on the rug and now wanted to pretend it was rain. Gift basket started shaking in her hands. The little tag said, "Relax, rejuvenate, recharge." The irony practically peeled the paint off my door. "I just want to talk," she said, voice lower now. Off the record. I leaned on the doorframe, sipping coffee from a mug that read, "World's most disposable asset." Off the record, I repeated. That's what Ethan said before telling me I was too expensive to retain. Right after I wrote the scripts that made half his team obsolete. He blinked. He said, "What?" I raised my eyebrow. "Oh, you didn't know? That's funny, because Bluebird did. I didn't mean to drop that bomb yet." But I watched her pupils widen like a deer, realizing the headlights weren't stopping. "I'm listening," she whispered. So I opened the door, just enough for her to step inside the blast radius. I walked her into my living room. Every inch of it screamed burnout meets war room, whiteboards, sticky notes, coffee cups labeled with the days of the week, and in the center, my laptop humming like a sleeping volcano. I sat, she hovered. I didn't offer her a seat, just flipped the screen toward her and tapped a folder called Echoes. Inside, audio clips, hundreds categorized, timestamped. Ethan, HR, the IT guy, even her. saying things they didn't think were recorded. I hadn't meant to collect blackmail. But when you live invisible long enough, you learn to leave a trail, yourself in case no one else will. She sat slowly like the couch might bite her. One clip auto-played. Ethan's voice, she's like a blender. Great when it works. Annoying when it doesn't. Replaceable. Then HR, we can spin it as role redundancy. Say she was consulted, not removed. Then her voice, if she's smart enough to build all this, she'll be smart enough not to burn bridges. She turned to me, that's not how I meant it. I shrugged. Don't worry, not burning bridges. I'm burying them in salt and watching what grows. Silence. Then she whispered, what do you want? And that's when I really knew I'd already won, because it wasn't about wanting anymore. It was about choosing. I want phase 2, I said, and I want you to watch. I clicked a button. She flinched. Across the city, dozens of email inboxes dinged simultaneously. Every department head, every board member, every investor, each one got a personalized dashboard. A visual, interactive timeline of their department's actual productivity before and after I was let go. Color-coded, animated, and unmistakably damning. Oh, and at the very top, a blinking line of text that said, ask me how to fix it. Her phone buzzed, then again and again. She stood up, no words, just fear. But I stopped her at the door. Next time someone says automation makes people unnecessary, I said quietly, remind them who wrote the code. Then I shut the door in her face. But I wasn't done, not even close, because tomorrow was Friday, and Friday was for the clients. Friday arrived like a blade, sharp, quiet, measured. I dressed in black, not for drama, but for clarity. Hoodie, leggings, no makeup. Revenge uniform. My hair was in the same messy bun it had lived in for weeks, and the only accessory I wore was a tiny silver pin on my chest. A bird in flight. Bluebird? At 9:00 a.m. sharp, I opened the admin console for the client-side portals. 16 high-value accounts. 16 companies who relied on the integrations I'd personally built, patched, secured, and streamlined. These weren't faceless users. These were people who sent me thank you emails, holiday cards. One even named his dog Maria Bot after a bug I squashed in record time. And every single one of them had no idea I was gone. I gave them a gift. At 9:02, their dashboards changed, seamlessly. No crashes, no glitches. Just one new tile at the top, why your service just got slower. Clicking it opened a simple video, me. No filters, no edits. Sitting in front of my laptop, looking exhausted but calm. Hi, I said. I'm Maria. You don't know me, but you've used my work every day for the last 3 years. Today, your service is about to degrade by 67%. Not because of a hack, not because of a bug, because I was removed. The video cut to graphs. Clean, brutal lines, performance before me, after me, projections, logs, timers, all indisputable. Then a quote from Ethan's Slack played with crisp narration, we can afford to lose her. The clients won't notice. Cue silence. Then my voice again. Let me know if you noticed. I ended it with my personal email and a link. Click here if you want your system restored. By 10:00 a.m., I had 12 emails. By 10:30, I had 4 Zoom requests and a call from someone named Trevor, VP of Ops at their biggest logistics client, who began the call with, I don't know who the hell let you go, but I'd like to fire them personally. By noon, I was trending on their internal Slack again, but not as a ghost. Now, I was a poltergeist with Wi-Fi. And somewhere in that building, Ethan was sweating through his Banana Republic dress shirt trying to explain how I wasn't that critical. Until one client CC'd the entire board on this email. If Maria isn't reinstated, we're pulling our contract and taking our data with us. Attached was a screenshot of my dashboard. Subject line, your backbone has left the building, and took the spine with her. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with an incoming number I hadn't seen in years. Victor Liu, CTO, board member, the only one who'd ever asked real questions during a meeting. The man who once said, Maria, if you ever build a company, I'd buy stock in it. I answered. Still interested in building something, he asked. I didn't respond immediately, just smiled, then glanced at the notification bar. Ethan was calling again, and this time I answered. Ethan, I said calmly. He didn't say hello, he sighed, that soft, easing kind of sigh that happens when someone realizes the floor they've been standing on is actually quicksand. We need to talk, he said, please. I let the silence stretch just enough to make him sweat. Talk, I replied, sipping my coffee. I've got a limited attention span for men who replace talent with hubris. Okay, he rushed. Look, we messed up. I messed up. You were more integral than we thought. You thought I was a blender, I said flatly, annoying when I didn't work. Replaceable, he actually winced. I heard it. A little breath catch, like he'd forgotten I had receipts and just remembered. We can undo this, he said quickly. I've already spoken with HR. We can reverse the termination paperwork, offer you back pay, a retention bonus, I snorted. You're offering me money to fix what you broke after you threw me out like yesterday's broken spreadsheet. It's not just about money. We need your leadership. Whole system is falling apart. Now we were getting to it. The real panic. Let me guess, I said. The CRM is cannibalizing lead data. Finance can't run reconciliation. Vendor pipelines are looping. And the autoresponder is still emailing angry customers gifs of slow-motion car crashes. Yes, and the internal feedback bot now sends weekly reports titled How to Fail Upwards, a memoir by Ethan. That was a low blow. That was earned, I snapped. Removed me like I was a nuisance, like I was clutter. And now you want me to save your career. He was quiet. Then, like a man trying to climb out of a burning dumpster with grace, he asked, "What do you want, Maria?" I paused. Let that question hang like smoke in a sealed room. Because what I wanted, really, was not to come back. It was to be remembered, not as the girl who saved their systems, but as the girl who made them beg. You want Bluebird back online? Yes. You want clients restored, dashboards cleaned, automation flowing like it was before? Yes, God, yes, then I want 3 things. He perked up like a golden retriever hearing a treat bag. First, I said, a written statement sent to the board, admitting full mishandling of my termination. Naming names, yours first. He was silent. Second, I continued, full admin credentials reinstated, with permanent protections in place. If I'm going to clean the mess, do it my way. And third, he asked, voice smaller now. I leaned closer to my mic and smiled. Third, I want you demoted, publicly. You'll still have a job, but you'll be answering to me. He let out a shaky breath. That's not realistic, I shrugged. Neither was firing your only architect and expecting the house to stand. Silence again. Then the whisper I wanted, I'll talk to the board. You do that, I said. Bluebird stays grounded until I get that statement. Click. Goodbye, because now I was in control. And tomorrow I was going to take back the entire damn building. Saturday, 6:00 a.m., I was already logged in. They had reinstated my credentials just after midnight, sloppy, rushed, and riddled with digital fingerprints. I could see Ethan's desperate edits in the audit logs. Little red flags everywhere. But most importantly, they gave me full access. They had no idea what I could do with that. 6:07 a.m., Bluebird came back online, quietly, gracefully, like nothing ever happened. Client portals flickered back into perfect sync. Tickets flowed smoothly, invoices regenerated and backfilled without duplicates. Email queues unclogged, reports refreshed themselves like magic. I didn't fix everything, not right away. I let a few ghost bugs linger, enough to remind them that systems don't run on electricity. They run on respect. By 8:00 a.m., the CEO called me directly. This time, she didn't lead with guilt. She led with gratitude. I've never seen Ethan this silent, she said, half laughing. You broke him. Good, I replied. Now maybe he'll hear what I said 2 years ago. I've read the statement, she continued. It's being sent to the board this afternoon. You have my word. I believed her. Because by then, I already had a backup copy, a failsafe that would forward it to every major tech news outlet if they tried to walk it back. Insurance. At 10:00 a.m., I walked into that building for the first time in 4 weeks. The security guard froze when he saw me, then gave me a slow, stunned nod, like he'd just seen someone walk out of their own grave. Inside, it was chaos. Desks cluttered with post-it notes and half-eaten apologies, frantic junior devs trying to explain systems they didn't build, whiteboards filled with bad guesses and duct-taped workflows. And there, in the corner office with the blinds half-closed, was Ethan. He didn't look up when I opened the door, just stared at his screen. Silent, I let the silence breathe. I read your letter, I said, almost sounded sincere. He finally turned, pale, smaller. His button-up shirt wrinkled like it was sweating with him. You win, he said. I stepped inside, closed the door behind me. No, I said, I earned. What you did was lose. He swallowed hard. I'll report to you starting Monday. No, I replied, you'll report to Camille, my intern. She's 23. She understands the system better than you ever did. He blinked. That's your word, replaceable. I turned to go, but paused. Oh, and Ethan, I read your draft of the postmortem report. He winced. You misspelled redundant. Click. Door closed, behind me. Kingdom I rebuilt started humming again. But this time, I wasn't just the ghost in the wires. I was the damn architect, and I had one more surprise left. The final reveal for Monday, because Monday, That was when the board would learn I wasn't just reinstated. I was being given the power to rebuild the entire department. From scratch. Monday arrived dressed like Judgment Day, gray skies, cold air, and the kind of stillness you feel before a system reboot. I didn't walk into the building this time. I strode. The glass doors slid open like they recognized their new god. People turned. Phones stopped mid-scroll. Conversations fell off cliffs. I wasn't the ex-employee anymore. I was the storm they tried to ignore, and I brought blueprints. At 9 a.m., I entered the boardroom with a black backpack, a tablet, and a tiny metal clicker. No presentation, no slides. Just me and what I had built in secret. I thought I was just rebooting the old. No, I had spent the weekend building something better, from scratch. Let's begin, I said, tapping the tablet. The lights dimmed, screens flickered. Then, a live demo, a new automation suite, streamlined, visual, secure, not just code, a platform. A system that could be used, understood, extended without me. They gasped. Not because it worked, but because it worked without fear. I smiled. The future of this company isn't code. It's ownership, not of systems, but of trust. This, I pointed at the screen, runs because people are respected, not replaced. The COO leaned forward. And who will lead this rebuild? I looked them each in the eye, not Ethan, a beat. I'm not coming back as an employee, I continued. I'm coming back as a partner. I'll rebuild the department under a new charter with my own team, reporting directly to the board. And I pick my successor. Silence. Then Victor Liu, CTO, exhaled like he'd been holding his breath since 2020. Approved. No vote, no debate, just done, because they knew. The girl they fired built an empire inside a spreadsheet, burned it to the ground, and came back with blueprints for a smarter kingdom. Later that evening, as I packed up to go, I passed Ethan's desk. It was smaller now, near the copier. He didn't look at me, just kept his eyes on his screen, hands trembling slightly. Black window blinked. Camille had pinged him. Please summarize the morning outage reports for Maria before EOD. I didn't stop walking. Outside, I inhaled air that didn't taste like burnout. For the first time in years, I felt weightless. At home, Bluebird chirped back online, calm, happy, and me. I sipped a glass of something expensive, curled up with a blanket, and watched the numbers rise. Productivity, morale, respect. I didn't destroy the system. I rewrote it, and this time my name wasn't hidden in the source code. It was at the top. Bold, unignorable, Maria Vega, partner, architect. Survivor of a system too blind to see her until she shut it down. Appreciate you sticking around, you wise old rebels. Smash that subscribe button, or this fossil might just cause another epic fiasco.